Good evening, and thank you for being a part of the Veteran Spouse Project's second annual Honoring All virtual military ball sponsored by Corvias. My name is Amy Updegraft, founder and artistic director of the Veteran Spouse Project.
And I'm Lieutenant Colonel retired Jamie Updegraft. And it is my privilege to co-host this event with Amy, her partner in crime Leah, and Leah's husband, Colonel Rick Johnson. After watching/critiquing my hosting duties from last year, Amy decided that she would assist me this year, as she felt like my hosting skills at times were not quite up to her standards.
Well, after many years of giving me a hard time about how easy it is to play pretend for a living as an actor, I did relish in watching Jamie sweat and call for take after take after take.
Hey, not all of us thrive under the bright lights. Some of us are just nuclear security professionals.
So, here we are in East Tennessee, and we'll be joined by Rick and Leah shortly from their home in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. However, thanks to the technological advances and the generous financial support of Corvias, we can take you through the customs, courtesies, and the ceremonious activities that make up a military ball. Last year's ball was a resounding success and allowed VSP to fund an entire year of online virtual classes, out of which came deep healing and community, to include theatrical monologue writing by spouses themselves, which you will hear tonight. We hope to have even more of an impact this year with your help.
For our current service members and your dates out there, this is to honor you and all those that love you. For our civilian guests, this is a rare opportunity for you to be a part of the team as we honor those that serve our great nation. Tonight's theme is team. You're going to hear that word a lot. The military is a team of teams. Each team relies and supports the other to accomplish our nation's missions. We ask that you now stand at your respective tables. We begin the night with the posting of our national colors by the Syracuse University's ROTC Color Guard. And please remain standing for the singing of our national anthem by Colin Rowe, a Nashville-based singer-songwriter and proud son of a Navy veteran, Commander retired Bart Rowe, and his wife Colleen. Color Guard, post the colors.
Present colors. Permission to post colors. Order colors. About face. Ready, set. Ready, back. Present arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you to Syracuse University's ROTC Color Guard and to Colin Rowe for the beautiful rendition of the anthem. I'm Leah Johnson, Managing and Development Director of the Veteran Spouse Project.
And I'm Colonel Rick Johnson, Most people know me as Leah's better half.
Jury's still out on that.
Well, we'll see. Over the course of the last 4 years, I've seen up and close the countless hours and conversations poured into making this VSP dream a reality. This dream of creating space for veteran and military spouses across generations to share their own stories about life, their stories about war, and their stories about what it means to wait. We look forward to spending time with you tonight and sharing some of our favorite military traditions.
We are also looking forward to highlighting all that VSP accomplished this year, due in large part to your support from last year's Honoring All Military Ball. Like Amy mentioned earlier, we saw VSP grow in the past 12 months in ways that we couldn't have imagined back when it all began on that cold Alaskan day years ago. We have so much to share with you tonight, so let's get going.
It is customary at military balls, no matter your religious affiliation, to open with a short prayer. So please join us for this year's invocation, joining us in your own faith tradition.
Good evening. I invite you to pray with me in your hearts. Dear Heavenly Father, during our second annual Honoring All Military Ball, may we give honor to whom honor is due. First to you, and also to those who gave the ultimate sacrifice and laid their lives down for others in hope of freedom for all. May every veteran spouse, and loved one of our nation's armed forces feel truly and appropriately honored by the tributes and appreciation of their fellow citizens. And especially tonight, as we, the Veteran Spouse Project community, gather together from diverse places to celebrate, may our service members and veterans and their spouses continue to be resourced with tools and support systems needed to faithfully engage their everyday lives. We ask you to place people in their paths who seek to understand and hear their hearts so they may feel less alone. Remind them often that while many among us may never fully comprehend their personal story, you see, know, and are able to meet their need for wholeness and healing. Draw each one here closer to you and grant them the peace that is beyond human comprehension. May your Holy Spirit bring us all to joy in your presence as we choose the greater things of you that cannot be taken from us. It is in your holy presence we pray. Amen.
We will ask that you now take a moment to charge your glasses and prepare for the toasts. At military balls and formals, it's customary to pay tribute to certain individuals and positions in the form of toasts. You can find your responses to each toast in the program provided in your experience box.
As you take time to locate these responses, it is worth noting that the final toast honors those that are no longer with us. At a traditional military ball, this is where we would draw our attention to the fallen soldier table, set to honor those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice. Please notice that there is no response following this toast.
Now join us in hearing from Jennifer Ballou, a retired Army veteran and Gold Star spouse, on what the Fallen Heroes table means to her and her family.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Ballou. I am the founder of A Joyful Life with Jennifer and retired Army veteran. I am honored that the Veteran Spouse Project invited me to share a little bit about my story with you, as well as the meaning of the Fallen Soldiers table. As many of you know firsthand, being a military spouse is not necessarily easy, but can and does bring a significant amount of rewards along with it. As the wife of Staff Sergeant Eduardo Laredo, I was part of a dual military couple, which brought along an additional set of rewards and challenges. Eddie and I were both stationed in Vicenza, Italy, which is where we met, and we dated for several years before getting married in 2007. We immediately began navigating what I refer to as an entertaining juggling act of family responsibilities, 2 Army careers, and lots of time apart due to field training, late nights at the office, and deployments. Eddie and I would often talk about the first time that we would be able to attend a military ball together. We had both attended balls in the past, but due to Eddie's job, which was infantryman, and the organizations that he was assigned to, such as the 173rd Airborne Brigade and the 82nd Airborne Division, more often than not, when the opportunity would present itself to attend a ball, duty would call and he wouldn't be home. I clearly remember attending a military ball hosted by the 44th Medical Brigade at Fort Bragg, North Carolina in late 2007. That was the organization that I was assigned to at the time, and I was extremely pregnant with our son Eddie. Big Eddie, as we often referred to him, was deployed at the time and due to come home just a few short weeks later to see the birth of our son. The next time that I attended a military ball was also hosted by the 44th Medical Brigade a few years later, but this time I attended as the widow of Staff Sergeant Eduardo Laredo. Unfortunately, on June 24th, 2010, Eddie was killed in action and gave his life for our nation. I mentioned that as a dual military couple, I was presented with an additional set of rewards and challenges. One of those challenges was escorting Eddie's flag-draped casket back to the United States. You see, I was also deployed to Afghanistan at the time, and even though we were only both supposed to be there for a short period of time, I'm convinced that I was there so that I could bring Eddie home. As a military spouse and soldier, the Fallen Soldiers table has always been extremely meaningful to me. But as you can probably imagine, as the wife of a fallen soldier, I am even more grateful for this tradition. Now more than ever, when I'm attending a military ball and our attention is drawn to the Fallen Soldiers table, I'm able to stand proud and know that Eddie and the thousands of men and women who have given their lives in support of our nation are being honored. So tonight, as you pause, reflect, and honor our fallen soldiers, I want you to know how grateful my family is that each and every one of you are helping to keep Eddie and all of the men and women's memories alive. Thank you so much. Enjoy your evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, I propose a toast to Commander-in-Chief.
Ladies and gentlemen, I propose a toast to the United States Armed Forces.
Ladies and gentlemen, I propose a toast to all that have served.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to propose a toast to the spouses like me who awaited.
Ladies and gentlemen, I propose this toast to children like me who have waited.
Ladies and gentlemen, I propose a toast to the families like mine who waited.
Ladies and gentlemen, I propose a toast to the men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice like my dad, Sergeant Clayton Dunn.
Over the past year, VSP helped spouses find their own creative voices. Here are two of those spouse-written theatrical monologues performed by professional actors.
Where are you, husband? Tonight of all nights, where are you? The familiar pinch in my lower belly makes me grimace and curl as tightly into a ball as possible, knees to chest. Maybe if I just ignore it, it won't happen. Squeeze shut my eyes and try to focus on something, anything, to escape the ticking time bomb of my womb. The sirens of the sea call. And then there you are, through this lonely window. I see you, a happy mother with your healthy, living baby falling back into the snowbank. Her puffy pink suit making her a girly, Stay Puffed marshmallow. Little arms and legs sweep up and down. She's a snow angel, and my arms feel weak. I use them to push myself out of bed and wrap a robe around my failure of a body, shivering as I walk to the bathroom. I can hear your little one's giggles through the window in here, too. I pull open the cabinet door to reveal the messy second half of my identity. The infertile woman. Pads, tampons, pregnancy tests, and ovulation predictor kits spill out of a laughably small basket. Just a couple of weeks ago, I would have eyed the pregnancy test with a tiny flicker of hope. That is, until yet another early miscarriage, a fifth, in fact. Hope unfounded. No snow angel for me. And now here I stand, clutching a foil wrapper of a kit, staring into the hideous face of an early ovulation with no husband in sight, and trying to gasp for air while my head sinks below the reality that we might miss our last chance before the Air Force pulls him away for even longer this time. A year. A year. One last look. She's reaching for your hand. How I know your innocent, tender scene isn't going to hold my head above water any longer than a shattered buoy. It's like I'm swimming for shore between Scylla and Charybdis, waiting for one or the other to swallow me whole. I tear open the ovulation test, but there is no life jacket within, and my Odysseus is far from home.
Well, up until today, I kept staring through the peephole of my door. This cellophane-wrapped wicker basket with a pretty blue ribbon and a handmade card just sitting there, taunting me. I could almost taste the wine that poked out of the top, along with the crackers and the jams and a friendly willkommen. I mean, they do all look the same. Those 20 brown doors, which lead to identical military housing. The only way to know ours is a small white number 6 painted on the cinder block wall. 10 months ago, John, he's my soldier, transferred from Army Reserves to active duty, and we moved from Fort Huachuca, Arizona to, surprise, here comes baby. He was constantly in training and gone for most of it. By it, I mean life. Other than that friendly old couple next door who helped me get rid of tarantulas, I found myself completely alone. Leaving Arizona and coming here was my first real PCS move, and I had high expectations, real high. New friends, bratwurst and curry, German markets. Besides, I had lived in Europe before, so I was prepared. Except that I wasn't. Not to live here. Bedroom, bathroom, kitchenette. Not for my baby to sleep in a suitcase because our household goods shipment is still 3 months out. Not for John to leave at 0600 hours every day and rarely return before dark. While he's gone, guess what I do? I push that baby stroller around and end up every day back at this number 6 brown door, walking past someone else's pretty little welcome basket and feeling alone. But last week I got brave. Yeah, brave. I'm not sure what else to call it. I just marched up to a group of moms and babies in the park and introduced myself. And then yesterday, I actually talked to the German librarians that I visit every day. And now, I'm in charge of story time. Here comes Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus. It almost feels like a shift. Those librarians, or civilians, we would call them, they almost feel like home. And now get this. Tonight, I went to my first FRG meeting. What the heck? Stands for Family Readiness Group. Sounds miserable, but I go. And when you know it, I meet this cool lady who's been an Army wife forever, like survived 18 years of this life. It's crazy. And when you know it, she put a big wicker basket wrapped in cellophane with a pretty blue ribbon and a handmade card that said Willkommen outside a nondescript brown door, number 16, instead of my door, number 6. It was meant for me, after all. Me. I don't know, I'm starting to not feel so alone anymore.
Last year, the Veteran Spouse Project did what all military spouses do so well. We looked around at our current conditions, surveyed the situation, and dug in to make our community stronger. We did that by rolling out virtual classes for spouses. From writing to bookbinding, yoga to collage, 134 spouses said yes to making space for their own stories through our programs. We hired facilitators from all across the country to serve our community. We did that with your help last year. We created a monologue series allowing military families to tell their stories and edit them into dramatic performance pieces like you just saw. We did that with your help last year. We flew to Alaska, where we sat for Stories We Tell interviews and offered space for spouses and made for you workshops to meet in person to create, share, and connect. We did that with your help last year. We raised $51,000 in fundraising and grants. We did that with your help last year. We partnered with the Wounded Warrior Project to offer writing and expressive art classes for their caregivers in the Chicagoland area. We did that with your help last year. We partnered with the Cohen Center in San Diego for a Mother's Day workshop to support their mission of helping post 9/11 service members and their families. We did that with your help last year. We did all of that in the midst of COVID. So imagine what we can accomplish when we kick COVID to the curb next year and really get down to business. We did all of that with your help last year, but last year was last year, and this year we need you on our team. Our team includes inclusion, standing beside people on their hardest days, continuing to show up for them across the miles, and lifting them up on our shoulders on their best days.
Now, 2 more from VSP's monologue series.
I hear it, the doorbell, but I can't answer it. I'm not sure how to answer the door anymore. Usually I'm on the other side of it, the one holding the casserole dish. I ring the bell, heavily armed with starches and cheese held together by condensed soup. I stand there at the ready with my comforting words. Hope the leg heals. Glad the surgery went well. Is there anything I can do to help? But now I'm on this side of the door and there is no casserole for this. Now I'm the one in need and no one knows what to say. What dish pairs well with despair, confusion, failure? Can a hearty soup or a thick chili comfort the person who agonizingly places their child in a hospital against their will? Does Betty Crocker have a section titled Meals for a Mental Health Crisis? I mean, there is no casserole for this. What kind of help can you offer me? Me, the mother of a beautiful child intent on destroying herself. Will you help me navigate the maze of referral paperwork, or accept the agonizing reality of 2 a.m. in a psych ward? Validate my need for a cigarette? Maybe you can help me explain her sudden school absences, why she no longer rides the bus, isn't going to the homecoming dance, why we used to come to events on post with 2 kids, and now we only bring 1. Can you make this place less of a fishbowl? I know they mean well, listening as they give me well-intentioned yet useless advice. Things like, talk to the chaplain. Okay, which chaplain will be the most discreet under this magnifying glass? Take a vacation. If only a condo rental in the Outer Banks would be the answer. We tried that once, and after, when I was taking out the trash, I found the broken seashell from that beach trip nestled in the dunes of blood-soaked tissues. So, there's just no casserole for this. I know they're out there waiting to say, here's some creamy pasta for your pain. If you don't have time to eat it, don't worry, it freezes beautifully. If only this pain would freeze beautifully. I know they want this to have a happy ending where I return the casserole dish handcrafted in Poland and say, thank you for comforting me, but there's no casserole for this.
Green? My life is like a watercolor painting, an ombre of color on a canvas. The dark blues are the moments of turbulence, like turbulence on an airplane, complete smooth sailing, and then out of nowhere, boom. The dark blues are the arguments, the PTSD, the alcoholic binges, the suicidal thoughts, the depression, the deepest blue. The darkness you feel when you wake up in the middle of the night and the bed is soaking wet from the man laying next to you. Deep blue is my control slipping. The struggle, the sobbing alone in a bathroom, feeling helpless and hopeless and trapped. Not talking to anyone for fear that they will judge you and wondering how I got here, why me? I have uttered those words more times than I care to admit. Why me? Why us? It's so dark that it's almost black. Not quite though, because black means there's nothing left. It means it's over. So I still see it as dark blue. Blue means there's hope. Hope from the depths of the dark blue comes a lightning. It's a lighter blue, reflections after the storm. The dreams I gave up on, the wishes I wished away, those are gone, and the glimmer of hope that does return, slowly. It's those beautiful shades of yellow. The sun peeking through the clouds, more hope. The light is my family, the good times, the smiling faces of those I cherish the most. It's the joy of watching my husband play catch with our son on a warm summer day. Yellow is the work that we have done to put our family back together. Our family mindfulness sessions. Yellow is the laughter and the hugs and the dance parties in the kitchen. Yellow is my tribe of people. Vulnerability among a group of women who were once strangers and now have come together to seek the calm in the storm within each other. Tears, happy, sad, are shared as we tell our stories to each other for the first time. My healthy family and those women, that tribe, it all shines so brightly, so vibrantly yellow. It's like a yellow bloodletting that pours over my blues and makes everything green. It's the most vibrant, beautiful green. It's acceptance. Green is knowing that you are no longer alone, knowing that someone understands you, someone actually sees you. Yeah, I'm the artist of this watercolor. I blend the yellows and the blues and make the vibrant greens. Emotions and colors all over the place. We will live through the blues. We will soak in the yellows and rest in the greens. This is us. This is my painting. And it's a damn masterpiece.
VSP is grateful to their presenting sponsor, Corvias, for all that you did to make this event a success, and for all that you do for our military and their families. Our guest speakers tonight are the epitome of team. I always appreciate when senior leaders acknowledge and thank their spouse for their success and their accomplishments. And Lieutenant General retired Mark Hertling is an incredible example of that in regards to his wife, Sue. Born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri, Lieutenant General retired Mark Hertling served 38 years in the U.S. Army as a tanker and cavalryman. During his career, he commanded a cavalry squadron, an armor and striker brigade, the operations group at the National Training Center, the 1st Armored Division in Germany and in northern Iraq, initial military training, and he was the commanding general of U.S. Army Europe. Since retiring, he's worked in healthcare, served with several service-related nonprofits, was appointed to President Obama's Fitness Council, and was recently appointed by President Biden to the American Battle Monuments Commission. Above all, he loves spending time with his wife, Sue.
Born and raised on Long Island, New York, Sue Hertling lived her first 21 years in the same house. Sue is a wife, a mom of 2 sons, a grandmother of 5 grandsons, and she now has moved 25 times during 46 years of marriage to Mark, making each of their houses or set of quarters into a cozy, loving home. Sue's been a fitness professional since 1983. She was first a jazzercise instructor, then became a certified trainer, and now teaches body pump. Sue's toughest challenges came as her husband, 2 sons, and 1 daughter-in-law each had multiple deployments to Iraq, on several occasions 2 or more being there simultaneously. Now her passions are being with family, serving others, walking the beach, and relishing in the friends she's made around the world and the blessings of nature. Join us in meeting the Hertling team.
I am extremely excited to be with you tonight. You know, over the years, I've been asked to speak at numerous military balls, and I've enjoyed every single one of them. But a few years ago, I was asked to speak at a ball where both of our son and daughter-in-law would be present. They were brand new second lieutenants. I had just returned from combat, and the unit that asked me to speak, their unit, was preparing to deploy to the same area we had come home from. Their commander wanted me to provide insight about what we had seen to his squadron. Personally, I didn't think that was such a great idea. It was too serious a subject for a mixed audience at an Army ball. So I did what I always do when I have questions and I need good advice. I asked Sue what she thought about that plan. She agreed. She said a speech on combat wasn't the way to go, reminded me that half the audience would be spouses who likely wouldn't be excited about a bunch of hula Army stuff. In giving it some thought, Sue and I developed an unusual plan for the speech, one we had never seen before or used before. We decided I would speak for a few minutes, tell some stories about selfless soldiers, and then tie my thoughts together using the saying that the special operations community borrows from the book of Isaiah. Here I am, send me. That's a great expression because it expresses the feeling that when the going is tough and the tasks are daunting, soldiers always volunteer to lead the way in the most difficult of missions, and that's something I had seen in combat. They selflessly say, here I am, send me. After I used those words to close the first part of the speech, Sue wandered up to the microphone, took it from me, and she began talking about the Army family. Because when soldiers say, here I am, send me, it's really the spouses and the families that bear a big part of the burden, pulling it all together on the home front. Our speech worked out pretty well that night, so we figured we'd do it again right now.
Here I am, send me. For every service member who says those words, there are moms and dads, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, sons and daughters who keep the fires burning on the home front while their loved one is away. Family members who earn their own medals and ribbons for courage and grace, but their medals are worn on their hearts instead of on their uniforms. During the 10 years from 2002 until 2012, in my roles as a military spouse and a military mom, I was on a pretty intense emotional roller coaster as I watched Mark, our 2 sons, and our daughter-in-law repeatedly depart for deployments, several of which lasted 15 months. All told, our family dealt with 11 deployments, and then there were a few more for our oldest son after Mark retired. With each deployment, I gained tremendous strength from those around me. Military spouses and family members, civilian community leaders and neighbors, all of whom provided the hands-on support that extends beyond yellow ribbons and the well-intended bumper stickers that say, "We support our troops." As we celebrate the importance of community this evening, I'd like to share 2 stories that speak to the power of community support, the kind that helped this Army spouse and so many others get through the toughest of times. The first story is about Tina, my next door neighbor and friend when we lived in Hanau, Germany. But before I begin, let me give you a bit of background about myself. I am someone who relies heavily on physical activity to relieve stress. By putting my body in motion, I am able to unload the heaviness I may be carrying on any given day, and I find it therapeutic to literally pound the worry into the pavement. During a time when both Mark and our oldest son were deployed, I was feeling especially vulnerable and fragile one day. So I did what I had so often done to cope with the sadness and anxiety. I headed out for a long power walk. I was about a mile from home when our neighbor Tina drove by. A busy mom of 5, she had her car full of kids and it was obvious they were all spinning out of control. Tina stopped to say hello. She asked how I was doing, and being the transparent woman I am, I didn't hold back the tears, and I found myself not being able to say a word. Tina didn't say a word either, or maybe she did, and I just didn't hear it over the sounds of the kids screaming. But she squeezed my hand, she gave me a wave goodbye, and continued to drive home. Now, Tina has a huge heart with a special place in it for everyone she meets. But there's one thing Tina's heart refuses to make room for, and that is any kind of physical activity. So I thought it must be a mirage when a few minutes later, I saw her down the road walking toward me. This woman with the huge heart, this woman who hates to walk, had driven home, unloaded the car, put her oldest son in charge of the other 4 kids, and headed out the door to meet her friend because she didn't want me to walk home alone. When a battle buddy appears unannounced on your doorstep because she knows you're having a hard day, when a friend walks you home because she knows you're hurting, then you know you're on the receiving end of incredible small acts of kindness that mean so much. These simple, heartfelt gestures bring comfort and reassurance during the toughest of times, and these small acts of kindness make all the difference. My second story is about Frau Thiel's, Mayor Mueller, and the wonderful community of Wiesbaden, Germany. During the Iraq surge of 2007, Mark had been chosen to command the 1st Armored Division for the express purpose of taking that unit to Iraq just 2 months after he had changed command. The assignment required us to move from Heidelberg to Wiesbaden. It required us to meet key leaders of the unit and their families, to establish processes and support systems for this unplanned deployment, and to make connections with the key German leaders in our new community. Mark was also a bit busy training and preparing the division, which consisted of 30,000 soldiers from all over Europe and even the United States. So to say this was an intense couple of weeks would be an understatement. But in reading a quote from Will Smith, we were both reminded that you don't have to build a perfect wall today. You just have to lay one perfect brick. And that is exactly what we did. Together, Mark and I laid one of those perfect bricks when we hosted a reception at our quarters for the Wiesbaden mayor and his town council. Now, Mayor Mueller and his team had always been very supportive of the soldiers of the division, and there was a great German-U.S. partnership that had already been forged. So it came as no surprise when Mayor Mueller asked Mark, "What can we do for your soldiers when they deploy?" Mark thought for a second and then responded, "Mayor, we'll be okay, but please take care of our families while we're away." A woman named Frau Thiels was standing in that group with us, but we had never met before, and I didn't know who she was. Turns out Frau Thiels was one of the key leaders of the town council, but more importantly, I soon discovered she was a woman with a very good heart, a woman filled with compassion and kindness. She grabbed hold of my hand, looked me in the eye, and said, "We will take care of all of you." The mayor nodded in agreement, and both of them would prove true to their word. In the coming months, the American families on the home front received invitations to various events that were held in the city of Wiesbaden. On one Sunday during Advent, the city theater was closed to the general public, and the United States military families were invited to a special Christmas concert that was absolutely amazing. There were also weekly city tours that were planned just for the American spouses. And as if that wasn't enough to get us all excited, the invitation was a package deal that included a full afternoon of childcare. Wow. For a single parent whose soldier is deployed, for someone who is experiencing exhaustion, mental, physical, and emotional, what an incredible and most welcome gift it was to embrace some quality me time. Not only was the city tour terrific, but it was followed by several hours of free time to shop, sit at a cafe, relax on a park bench, or just visit with friends. Talk about a boost to morale. The special support of friends like Tina can make all the difference. And the same can be said of those community members, many of whom have never known military families, who open their hearts in friendship to all of us. These small and sometimes large acts of kindness allow military spouses to muster this needed strength to get through another day and to pick ourselves up when we're down every single time, because we can't and we shouldn't have to do it alone.
You know, we have a magnet on our refrigerator that says, "Do something every day that scares you." While both of us are a little older and grayer, and we've certainly done things on most days that have scared the hell out of us, we're still standing and we still try to live by that motto. In fact, to say we're standing taller because of the phenomenal people we've met who've shown us acts of kindness, who constantly reach outstretched hands to their families and their communities, and who always help each other come together and build an unbreakable partnership of understanding and support, just like all of you do. Thanks for all of you in doing just that and for being here tonight. We've really enjoyed speaking with you, but now it's time to prepare for the best part of any military ball, the dancing.
Of the cafe on the corner. here in the blood red wine that kisses my lips. At a table in the window of the cafe on the corner, you held me close so long ago. You're here in the sunlight that lingers on my shoulder. You're here in the soft ray of moonlight that follows me home. You're here in the fading light that glistens on the silver. You're here in the blood red wine that kisses my lips. At a table in the window of the cafe on the corner, you sat so long ago. You said so long, so very long ago.
This year, the Veteran Spouse Project's Gene Puckett Legacy Award honors veteran spouse and longtime military family supporter Sis Hargrove, whose servant heart, quiet resolve, and deep well of compassion and love for our military community embodies the spirit of resiliency, empathy, and patriotic fortitude that VSP believes is the foundation of healthy military families across generations.
On January 1st, 2022, we lost Sis, a dear friend, mentor, and cheerleader for our work here at the Veteran Spouse Project. Sis Hargrove opened her arms and her home to us when we worked in Columbus, Georgia in 2018, and we just fell in love with her spirit and unwavering belief in the value of hearing military family stories. She, along with her husband John, have been fierce allies and advocates for veteran and military families for decades. One of our core values here at VSP is to help create military to community connections, and Sis Hargrove spent her life making her military family and friends feel welcomed into her homes and into her wide open arms. Here's more about our friend and this year's award honoree, Sis Hargrove.
I would like to thank the Veteran Spouse Project for honoring Sis, the love of my life, on this very special and important night. I'd like to thank our 3 children, Paige, Matt, and Kate, for becoming mission control and also for parenting me. My remarks will be brief, which would be consistent with Sis's guidance to me for over 56 years. I think that it's appropriate that I tell one of Sis Hargrove's stories that happened 56 years ago. We met on the orientation bus at the University of Georgia the summer of 1966, and she was beautiful. During the fall of 1966, I asked her out for a date, I think 6 times, and I always got the same reply of no thank you. I'm busy with a meeting, which grew to many meetings. Then a stroke of good luck. Beginning winter quarter, we were in the same history class. Bingo. And then more good luck. The teacher wanted us to sit in alphabetical order. Another bingo. Okay, get the picture. Hargrove, then her maiden name, Hearn. The eagle had landed. But wait, a problem. Mason Hawkins would sit between us. Not good for a guy that had fallen in love with this beautiful blonde. What now? A negotiation with Mason Hawkins. Simple and to the point. Would you please switch seats with me? The results? Mason made a C. John Hargrove made a B. And yes, Sis made an A. However, I achieved my goal of getting a date with Sis. Then more dates, and 56 years later, I'm sharing this story with you. Our last date on planet Earth was New Year's Eve, just the two of us. Chicken wings, a glass of wine, and 56 years of together. And yes, watching the Georgia Bulldogs.
How did I meet Sis? Actually, it was through John. We met on a football field at Fort Benning that John was bringing the Columbus Lions over to practice, and we kind of met, and through that I met Sis, and we developed a relationship from about 2009 on. Someone asked me what Sis did for me as a military spouse. She didn't do it for me. She went on this journey with me since then, and it's just developed into a beautiful relationship that I cherish. She has been there to pick my kids up, to feed them if I couldn't make it, babysit them when I needed it. She would come to the house, she and John, and participate in our social events, and she's in there in between socials, flipping food and picking up dirty dishes and putting the new food out. She'd be there to help with our blood drives, help put on plays through the assistance of John. They were such a team.
Now I would like to deliver a message from Sis Hargrove. I'm delivering this message, but it was lived by Sis Hargrove. Thank you to the soldiers, veterans, and spouses in this audience. Servant leaders know the power of leading by example. Soldiers live it. Servant leaders know the fullness of life is measured not by how much one has, but how completely one gives.
I used to always think when I would go visit somebody, or I lived in Europe for a long time, somebody's parents would come visit. And I always used to call them mom and dad because it always made me feel like I had a piece of my own home with me. I never knew their first names half the time. I always called them mom and dad because even though they weren't mine, I just felt like I had a piece of home with me. And Sis, no matter where I lived, even after we left and we came back, she was home to me. So she was my mom, she was my sister, she was a friend, a mentor, a soulmate, and I just love her and I miss her. It's impossible to sum up Sis in just a few words, but warmth for me is the biggest one. I used to always watch Sis in a room at a social event and everything, and I'd have to wonder, oh, is she gonna be okay? She just would go in there and start talking to anybody. She would just ask them a few questions about them personally, and then they would just start talking, and Sis would nod and ask you a few more questions, and being that old school teacher she was, and having a military background, and just loving the military spouse, she could walk around a room and just talk to people, and they loved talking to her because she was just a easy person and always smiled and would listen to you. She wasn't intrusive, but you just felt good in here after talking to her. And so she was warmth, she was kindness. She cared, and she so loved the military and the spouses and the family members, the kids. She just really cared about them and wanted to do her part in any way she could to help Pete and I, but to be honest with you, she just really wanted to help anybody she could that was an extension and a part of the military family. And I think that's what makes this so special, that Sis is being given this award, because it is so highly deserved. And I am just grateful that I can say Sis was my friend, and I just feel very blessed. So it's about all I can say.
Imagine the headline: soldiers, spouses, servant leaders build another and another and another bridge for their fellow Americans, or as Sis Hargrove would say it, their fellow man. Sis built bridges as a servant leader. She lived the word service and leadership daily. Sis saw servant leadership as an opportunity for service, a 24/7 opportunity to serve others, nothing else. Simply put, Sis Hargrove found herself building bridges that connect while replacing many walls and fences along the way. The legacy is alive and well this evening. Sis Hargrove taught the Hargrove family that servant leadership can and does exist in all places: a church, a school, a small group, and yes, our family. In closing, I would like to quote Sis as best I can on New Year's morning. John, 2022 is going to be a great year. We are so lucky to be around such great people. We are blessed. Sis loved VSP and the people in it. Again, thank you for this recognition and honor. VSP has a representative in the biggest territory ever. It is called heaven. And Sis has already exceeded expectations. Thank you.
We now turn our attention to a time-honored tradition, the Grog Bowl ceremony. Whether this is your first time or your 100th time at a military-themed ball, the history of the grog merits a deeper dive. As with most aspects of military history, there's no true consensus regarding how the grog actually originated, but most accounts point to the British Navy of the mid-18th century using a simple mix of rum and water. So, much like football, chocolate, and The Office, we took this British invention and made it even better.
It appears as though the United States Navy then brought the grog into our military ranks. Now, as a West Point graduate, it can be hard to credit our Navy with anything. Navy friends, don't take it personal. I'm still mourning Army's loss from December. To give this grog ceremony justice, I'm going to pass the mic to Navy veteran Ron Rigdon to lead us in this year's Navy-inspired grog.
Thank you, Jamie and Amy. And Jamie, I am so sorry to see you're still mourning that loss to Navy. I mean, we put a powerhouse on the field this season. Was there ever really any doubt? Of course not. Anyway, on to the grog. The Grog Bowl ceremony is a storied tradition at any military ball. As Amy mentioned, the Navy lays claim to the origin of the grog. In 1740, British Vice Admiral Edward Vernon, whose nickname was Old Grog due to his coat made of grogram cloth, introduced the concoction to the naval squadron he commanded. When first introduced, rum was the elixir of choice in grog. Naturally, when Congress founded the United States Navy in 1775, they borrowed the British tradition. In 1809, then Secretary of the Navy Robert Smith proposed switching the rum for American rye whiskey. Good choice, Mr. Secretary. This proved a hit with sailors. It was a potently strong drink even when diluted. Today, the grog takes on many forms and is used in many ways through our branches of service. While not required at formal events, the grog ceremony is often embraced by those attending. There was a rhyme that went along with the grog recipe of old, and tonight, the Veteran Spouse Project follows that age-old Navy recipe. 1 part sour, 2 parts sweet, 3 parts strong, 4 part weak. 1 part sour. We pour in fresh lime juice. The sour is defined in the Oxford Dictionary as expressing resentment, disappointment, or anger, and that can all ring true some days as we miss our loved ones, resent so many changes, and wonder if it's worth it. But sour is only one part of the equation. 2 parts sweet. So we add simple syrup, remembering those sweet and tender moments when we are reunited. Spend time together, meet a new friend in a new place, or hear the doorbell ring to find a homemade meal from a neighbor. This life can be so very sweet. Three part strong. Now we add the American rye whiskey. We know strong. We know how to dig in and just do. Military families know how to walk side by side in this life, grip hands in the hard times, hold one another up in the even harder times. We know how to do strong over and over and over again. Four-part week. Now we add the water. Life-giving, life-sustaining. And just as water sustains us, so do our military spouses and families, often viewed as the weaker half of the team. They're anything but. They're the balance we needed to maintain this life of service to our great nation. So, on behalf of this old Navy veteran and the Veteran Spouse Project, here's to you, the sour, the sweet, the strong, and the weak. All of it, and all of you. God bless.
It's all for me grog, me lovely, lovely grog. All for the beer and tobacco. Well, I spent all me tin at the lassie's drinking gin. Far across the western ocean I must wander.
Well, it's all for me grog, me jolly, jolly grog. It's all for me beer and tobacco. Well, I spent all me tin on the lassies drinking gin. Far across the western ocean I must wander.
Where are me boots, me noggin boots? They've all gone for beer and tobacco. Well, the heels they are worn out, the toes been kicked about, and the soles are looking out for better weather.
And it's all for me grog, me jolly, jolly grog.
All for me beer and tobacco.
For I spent all me tin on the lassies drinking gin. But across the western ocean I must wander. Oh, where is my shirt, my noggin shirt? I sold it all for beer and tobacco. Well, my collar is all worn and my sleeves they all are torn, and my tails are looking up for better weather. And it's all for me grog, me jolly, jolly grog.
All for me beer and tobacco. For I spent all my tin on the lassies drinking gin.
But across the western ocean I must wander.
Well, I miss my wife, me lovely, lovely wife. Alone at the house waiting for me. Well, I've spent all my days at the war so far away, drinking gin and waiting for the day I see her.
Well, that just makes me want to pour myself another drink. Tonight, VSP's goal is to raise $20,022 in 2022, which will allow us to fund our programs, grow our offerings, and video archive our production of I Will Wait, so that we can reach a broader audience. We see and hear the impact of our programs every day. You should too.
My name is Kathy Palmer, and I've been a military spouse for 26 years. Along the way, there have been many nonprofits and organizations that are out there to support the spouses and the soldiers and their families, and they're all fabulous. But I want to take a moment to talk to you about one that really has done something for me that I just did not know I needed, but I'm super glad I found, and that is the Veteran Spouse Project. I took the Heart to Script class in the fall last year, and I went in not really knowing what to expect, and I thought, well, it'll be a great way to connect and just kind of see what the program's all about. But I was not at all prepared for the impact that it had on my life from the time that I was in the class till we finished. And during the Heart to Script class, I was able to produce several pieces of writing that were just from my perspective and about my experience. But I didn't do it alone, which was the crazy part. I had all sorts of different military spouses from different walks of life in the seminar with me. Everyone's pain is equally important. Everyone's experience is important. And it was just a safe space to actually talk about all the things that we keep inside as military spouses, and that we really, have put aside and put on the back burner because of all the things that we have to do in our lifestyle. And I think we hear about self-care and all these different things, but I think when it comes down to it, self-care is really about exploring what you need and finding ways to strengthen yourself.
When I first heard about VSP, I was happy. Finally, other spouses telling about what they're going through and having workshops for us to let us know about all these unspoken words and truth about how we feel on the inside. Our words and expressions are hidden. At times, because of our amazing soldiers, always on the go, always training, we are making sure that they're taken care of, the households are taken care of while they're protecting our country. With the workshop, it helps me take a breather and also listen to what other spouses been through along their journey and way. This is why I appreciate each and every one behind the scenes of VSP.
My first experience with VSP was through one of Wendy's in-person workshops while we were stationed in Alaska. And I left that workshop feeling recharged and having had my isolation dissolved that often comes when military families are stationed in remote duty locations like Alaska. Several months later, COVID had made in-person meetings impossible, but Amy was offering a writing workshop online, and I took that twice. And the community that I built there and the identity that I regained for myself has been life-changing.
Hi, I'm Chaplain Lisa Northway, and I want to give a shout out of a big thanks to Veteran Spouse Project for all that you do to fill the cups of military spouses around the world. I too have had my cup filled to overflowing as I've been able to be alongside your mission. I love what you're doing, and I can't wait to see and hear of more. God bless you in your continued efforts.
I have been honored to participate in most, maybe all of their different types of workshops. We've learned not only cope through things, but positively live through things. It allows for a vulnerability to be shown, a vulnerability that all military spouses have, and we hide because we have to be strong. And then that feeling that you get when you meet someone and all of a sudden that one person reminds you of something that just feels like home and you're comfortable. That's what the Veteran Spouse Project is. They're home.
A 2021 study found that military spouses experience a deep loss of identity and loss of control. But that same study also showed that being involved in the military spouse community as a whole serves as one of the most protective barriers between military spouses and depression. VSP programs offer that barrier. By supporting VSP, you are providing military spouses across the globe with a way to tell their stories, reach across generational lines to find common ground, and heal through creativity. Your support has been the anchor for our growth and will give us the capacity to serve even more spouses in 2022. As you saw tonight in the monologues, and heard from spouses who have benefited from our programs, your generosity has a direct impact. When you give tonight, either through the text to give located on the bottom of your screen or by visiting our website, you are giving a voice to Stephanie, Audra, Anna, Kathleen, and you are supporting our nation's warriors by supporting their spouses. We believe in providing opportunities to share, create, listen, and connect. We believe in bridging the gap between military and civilian communities. We believe that there is power in telling your story. We are so thankful that you believe with us. On behalf of VSP's team and our entire community, thank you.
Thank you, Veteran Spouses Project, for this truly incredible event. Even more, thank you for the work that you do day in and day out. To all who have participated, thank you for joining us as we have honored all who wait, all who serve, and all who support. I'd invite you to bow your head with me and receive the benediction. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you that you are not a distant, disconnected God, but you are a God who knows what it is to wait. You sent your Son into enemy, hostile territory to ensure our freedom from sin and death and the power of the evil one. To all those who wait, may they find comfort and consolation and connection in you. Even as our loved ones are far away, remind us that you are close to them and to us. Jesus, we thank you for laying down your life. You tell us that greater love has no one than this, that they lay down their life for a friend. And so, Jesus, we honor those who serve for their willingness to do that. Lord, protect them, even as they protect us. Keep them safe from all harm and danger, even as they strive to keep us safe from harm and danger. Lord, all those who wait, all those who serve, all those who support, each has given a different sacrifice. But Lord God, we are all on that same mission. So as we depart this event, give us your Spirit to comfort us, to guide us, to lead us, that we may delight in you and walk in your way. In the glory of your holy name. And it is in that name that we pray. Amen. Color guard, retire the colors.
Present arms. Permission to retire colors. Order arms. About face. Present arms. Order arms. Ready, set. Ready, back. Left turn, march.
Well, this has been a great team effort, if I do say so myself.
Thank you for participating and supporting the Veteran Spouse Project's Honoring All Military Ball.
See you next year, maybe in person.
Good night and God bless.